All right, we are good to go.
Sit down, but
All right. I'm gonna have her, hold on.
let me see how I can switch the slides here.
All right, I think everyone can hear.
You have an echo.
Let me mute myself.
Oh, yeah.
We can't hear you.
All right. Ooh, you can hear me.
Go ahead and unmute the room now.
Okay. There we go.
We still can't hear you.
Now can you hear me, Harry?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. So we are here today for calming herbal teas and mindful meals. Hold on. I'm gonna hold on. How do you mute this? Oh no. There. Yes, we got it. No more echoes. Yes. Okay, we're good to go. So welcome to Calming Herbal Teas and Mindful Meals. Sanaz and I are having too much fun. So tech issues are a part of the day, I'm sure. This is just part of our lives. Anyway, so this is Sanaz. Sanaz and I have been working together for quite a while now. I've learned quite a lot, and I was just making a comment about how I tend to try to find supplements on my own when I could just easily ask her. And so we were just talking about a few of them. But Sanaz is an integrative herbal and functional medicine practitioner who studied integrative environmental medicine with Dr. Andrew Weil and studied herbal medication with our world-renowned Native American herbalist, Dr. Low Dog. Dr. Demehry has had a diverse career working in urgent care, neurology, mindfulness, women's health, and in addition to an 8-year private practice in SoCal. She currently splits her time between here at the Susan Samueli Integrative Health Institute and Rosengall Medical Center, where she works as an integrative pediatrics, women's health, and autism. A passionate advocate and speaker for evidence-based natural and traditional approaches to medicine, Demehry has presented at a national, state, and local conferences and offers yearly workshops, trainings in the areas of herbal medicine, women's health, pediatrics, and nutrition. And so I am going to hand it off to Sanaz, and I will see you in a sec. Hold on. No, wait, hold on. Don't talk yet. There you go.
Thank you, Chef Jess. I'm so excited to be here with you in the kitchen. Honestly, it's like things I look forward to is just a time where we can get together and play and do what we both love to do.
Yes.
So anyways, it's an honor to be here. We apparently, this month is none other than Stress Awareness Month. So let's talk about stress and let's talk about some things that you can do to help your stress level and help you become more resilient to the effects of stress. So while doing this presentation, I found that up to 70% of visits to primary care physicians are stress related. So this blew my mind. So I dove deeper into the research article on PubMed about this, and they took about 4,000 participants and they taught them mind-to-body techniques to kind of help reduce stress and build resiliency, and followed them for many years. And as they incorporated these tools, they found that about 40% of clinical appointments were decreased. Imaging was decreased by 50%, and lab orders were decreased by 43%. So, I mean, this is kind of big to think about how we can kind of empower people, reduce stress, and reduce all of the ways that stress comes out in our health and diagnoses. So we're going to kind of dive more into that. But that kind of puts it in perspective. I think if there was a pill or a vitamin that did this, it would be the number one selling thing, right, on the market. And somebody would be getting, like, making billions of dollars off of it. But this is stuff that we can teach our patients, and we can teach our friends and family that can have a very profound effect on our health. So that's just fascinating. Okay, chronic stress. So chronic stress, there's acute stress, which is actually good for us, which actually helps our body. But it's the chronic stress that actually has negative effects on our health, right? So the chronicity of it impairs the feedback mechanism and kind of alters our hormonal system from abnormal to normal. It dysregulates not only cortisol, our adrenal hormones, but also increases inflammatory markers, decreases serotonin and melatonin, right? Thus leading to like depression and anxiety and all of that. And it affects insulin resistance. So we see a lot of people now in the clinic with prediabetes, and stress is always something that we consider and we address in these patients. And it increases the risk of depression and possibly other neurological disorders. So I am very passionate about our kiddos, because I do think if we don't invest in our younger generation, we're not really investing in our future, right? So here's a stat that says more teenagers are experiencing depression. If you can look in 2009, it was 8.1%. And now in 2023, it's pretty much overly doubled at 17.8%. So we can't blame it all on COVID, although it's kind of fun to blame everything on it, because as we can see that the rates were kind of going up anyways. So that's something that I do think that needs to be addressed, and we do need to help our younger generations and our younger populations kind of become more resilient to stress, because the stress isn't going anywhere, but we do need to kind of teach them tools to manage it so that their mental health is not the cost. Okay, so I'm all about resilience. Resilience is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustment to the external and internal demands. So I tell my patients all the time that I wish there was a vitamin, or I wish there was a button I can press that can prevent stress from coming into your life. But I think, as we all know, if we're old enough, that sometime in our life we encounter very stressful things. And it's not that we can prevent it, but we can learn to be resilient and to overcome it so it does not take a toll on us physically and mentally. And that's what I'd like to help you guys get a couple things today that helps build resilience, not so much prevents you from being stressed. Okay. So some of the tools, stress management is big. We'll talk about dietary counseling. These are things that help build resiliency. Supplements. I'm big on supplements. I do think we need some sometimes. Exercise. We'll talk about lifestyle changes, and sometimes medications are also indicated, and that's okay. So here, first we're going to talk about kind of some mind-body techniques. This study was kind of cool. A meta-analysis of 11 studies concluded that meditation may increase telomere length and prevent telomere destruction. So a telomere is kind of like it's like a shoelace. It's like the end of the chromosome. And the length of the telomere kind of indicates like our aging, our health, our overall health. The shorter it is, kind of the shorter the health span and lifespan, and the longer the better. So here's a study that shows just meditation can possibly help improve our lifespan. And then there's this thing called relaxation response, ways that we can help promote relaxation amongst the stressful situations, the chronic stress that we're under. And most people experience chronic stress now. It's almost like once you're in it, it's hard to get out of it. It's just your body kind of becomes used to it, things trigger it, and you get into this chronic stress mode. So things that help trigger the relaxation response has shown to help include heart rate variability, brain function, biological aging, gene expression, immunity, and of course, the famous gut. So I love this study because it's just crazy. So they did a study when novices to meditation, they underwent 8-week training and they elicited this relaxation response, right? And it changed their genes, right? So when we talk about epigenetics, it's changing your genes and then passing on that gene to like your offsprings. So it literally changed their gene expression. And it changed it. So 874 genes were then upregulated and 687 genes were then downregulated. So when we think of something that maybe everybody can kind of relate to, like cancer becomes an increased risk when a lot of our genes that help protect us against cancer downregulate. So meditation has been shown to kind of help alter those genes. So the genes expressed with relaxation have been associated with anti-inflammation and antioxidant. And these were NF-kappa B, tumor necrosis factor, and interleukin-7. So these were all downregulated just by triggering that relaxation response, which is basically some kind of mind-body technique like meditation. So one of my favorite ones is the 4-7-8 breath because I could do it anywhere. I could do it while I'm driving. I could teach my kids. I could teach my patients. And it's literally inhaling for a count of 4, holding for a count of 7, and exhaling for a count of 8, and doing it 4 times. So if you do this twice a day for 8 weeks straight, it's actually been shown to help kind of alter our response to stress. And it alters our normal neuronal activity that kind of gets changed with chronic stress. So it kind of helps bring it back to what we think is, more normal. So something like this, or some people like guided imagery, some people like hypnosis, some people like meditation. There's so many apps out there. But I don't care what you do, but pick something and do it every day for 8 weeks. And you will help kind of elicit all the stuff we talked about. Okay, nutrition, yum yum. Chef Jess is absolutely the expert of this, and we're going to see her make some delicious food soon. Make sure I'm on time and I'm not yapping too much. So the gut-brain axis is really important, right? So our gut microbiomes and the dietary fiber has actually been shown to help prevent depression and mental health things related to stress. So they did some studies that they put patients on yoga and put them on a vegan diet, and it absolutely helped increase the gut bacteria beneficially. They also studied some monks, Tibetan monks, and they found that they, just by sitting and meditating in their lifestyle, had a much higher diverse beneficial bacteria in their gut than the people that lived outside of town. So there's definitely some benefit to our gut. And I think one of the things that's really missing in our life today is fiber. Fiber. So even the patients that we see a lot of that have metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, insulin resistant, weight gain, that go on a protein diet and all of that, that's the missing link is fiber. So not too much sugar and more fiber is going to be really critical to our mental health and how we handle stress and the effects of stress on our body and helping our body become more resilient. So eating sweetened beverages and refined foods is associated with an increased risk of depression in numerous longitudinal studies. And the Women's Health Initiative that followed many women through their lives showed that higher consumption of fiber, vegetables, whole fruit was associated with lower odds of depression. And those that had more refined grains consumption was associated with increased risk of depression in postmenopausal women. So whole nutrition, right? As a reminder, we want to feed our body and not so much our emotions, because sugar is addictive. I made my kids watch Fed Up when they were younger, one of many documentaries that, I forced my kids to watch. And it shows that basically sugar is just as addictive as cocaine, right? The dopamine surge, it's so delicious. Same with our processed foods or processed carbs. So it's important to remember that food is there to feed our body and not so much our emotions. And studies show that a dietary pattern of minimally processed foods, rich in plants, and a balance of fats, proteins, and wholesome carbs result in better mood and energy. Like, it sounds so simple, but it's so powerful, right? I think if we actually focused on that, like I would just love to see the numbers on how that affects the rates of depression and anxiety and insomnia. So I'm going to talk about a couple vitamins because I know Chef Jess is using them in her food. So, I have to just say something about it. So B vitamins, lean meats, fish, green leafy vegetables, legumes, and nuts are rich in B vitamins, which are really, really important for brain health and mood. They're the cofactors for dopamine and serotonin neurotransmitters in our brain. So that's why it's important. And they work really well with like a multi or other vitamins to help our mood, improving our mood versus just single B vitamins. So folate and B vitamins I thought was interesting. So about 30 million Americans are actually deficient in vitamin B6, and about 18 million people have B12 deficiency. 90 million Americans are vitamin D deficient. 16 million have vitamin C deficiency. Women 25 to 39 overall have borderline iodine deficiency as well. So lower levels of folate, B6, B12 are associated not only with cognitive decline, memory loss, and depression. And those with low levels also have a poor response to antidepressants. So they have a 30% greater response to SSRIs if they're on a folinic acid or a methylfolate. So again, integrative medicine, right? The best of both worlds. So they did a 3-year study in Quebec, and they studied women that had adequate B6, and they showed that they have a 46% lower risk of depression, and men with adequate B12 had a 58% lower risk. So there's definitely a link between these vitamins and depression. So one of the things that's interesting is that, so they did a study, a meta-analysis in 2015, and they found that there was an 80% increased risk of B12 deficiency if you've been on a PPI for more than like 10 months. So PPIs can definitely decrease B12, and also a 245% increased risk of B12 deficiency if you're on metformin. And if you think about it, people who are diabetic and go on metformin also have diabetic neuropathy, which is also increased with B12 deficiency. The others that are at risk are also vegans, elders, and those that have had bariatric surgery. Vitamin D deficiency linked with seasonal depression and may contribute to general depression. So this is really important. Most people have to supplement because our body has downregulated its receptors because it knows that we don't go out anymore and we stay indoors to work. So it's important to check your levels and to know that if you supplement, it takes about 3 months for levels to change. So check in about 3 months. Vitamin C is also important. So levels decline rapidly during periods of emotional and physical stress. So high dose is actually effective in reducing anxiety as well as stress-induced blood pressure. And it's also been, studies have also shown that those in like convalescing and hospitalized patients, that if you give them vitamin C, they have lower rates of depression as well. So fish oil. I love omega-3. But did you know that it also helps decrease depression? So deficiencies in omega-3 is associated with increased risk of depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, dementia, ADHD, and autism. It does have a small to moderate benefit for depression. And depression studies, you basically have to take about 1,000 milligrams of EPA to get the benefit of an antidepressant with the omega-3. And it does help modulate those stress hormones. And just a reminder, make sure you take it with the fattiest meals because it is fat soluble, and that and vitamin D gets absorbed much better with fatty meals or together. So you want to do 1 gram a day. DHA is also good, primarily for children and pregnancy. My favorite brands are Nordic Naturals and Carlson. They're clean and reputable. Up to 3 grams is safe and doesn't really interact with medications. Keep it refrigerated. And if you want to have fish, just double check on the EWG website to get the safest type of fish with the least amount of mercury. Okay, now exercise. I know we're all busy and we don't have time and, we're already tired, but did you know that even 5 minutes of exercise can immediately not only improve mood, reduce stress, but provide neurological benefits for depression? So start low and go slow, but there is absolutely no pill, no supplement, no herb that can substitute the benefits of exercise on our stress, how we manage stress, and how our mood is. So exercise shown to reduce the harmful effects of stressors when performed at moderate intensities. And about 80 million Americans 6 years and older are entirely inactive. So if you're inactive at age 6 and you're living, because living is stressful, your resilience is going to be pretty low. Okay. So physical activity and benefits in cardiovascular, it helps not only cardiovascular health, exercise also helps with metabolic, neurological, helps your immune system, helps your bone. And a big old study with 398 people showed that consistent exercise benefits mood, depression, and anxiety. I mean, I think we all know that exercise is good for you, but when you look at the studies, you're like, oh my gosh, exercise is like really good for you. So that's why I put all the nerdy studies up there for you guys. On a side note, being alone and on your phone checking Facebook in a dark room is not good for you, right? So loneliness and social isolation associated with a 29% increased risk of cardiovascular disease and a 32% increased risk of stroke. So there were 148 studies showed that if you're socially isolated in a dark room on your phone, okay, I just made the phone part up, but you know, pretty much, I'm just trying to set the scene, is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, as dangerous as being an alcoholic, as harmful as never exercising, and twice as dangerous as being obese. So if you don't smoke because you know it's not good for you, then you sure shouldn't be alone, because social isolation will have the same effect. Okay, finally, we're getting to my favorite topic, which is herbs. I feel like I had to do all like the professional like stuff and like the scientific stuff to get to herbs. Okay, so lavender. Chef Jess is cooking with lavender today, so we're going to talk about lavender. I'm sure we all know what lavender is. We've smelt it. I love it in like baths or in iPads or in like the dryer, or like I love it in aromatherapy, but some people like to take it, and it's also has science behind it. So it has been shown in a study that with mixed anxiety and depressive disorders, which is the acronym is MAD, M-A-D-D, which I think is just really funny. Okay, so for MAD patients, it has been shown to be effective. They take lavender oil extract, and it comes in a supplement form. And patients participating basically, quote, said, pronounced improvements of impaired daily living skills and health-related quality of life. So the only adverse reaction was some belching. But, you know, I mean, when you compare it to like Xanax or some other addictive benzodiazepine, it's not all that bad, you know, if it has been shown. And it also has studies that shows that it helps in general anxiety disorders. Lemon balm, one of my favorites, right? So lemon balm is for like the busy bees, the ones that are busy, they're social, they're like interacting, they're just like go, 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 go. And the social butterfly, which, by the way, lemon balm in the garden attracts butterflies. So this helps people who are constantly on the go and need to kind of come back to their merry self. So it's really good for anxiety. It also helps with digestion, but really, really good for managing stress and anxiety. It's safe in kids. I've always given my kids when they were little lemon balm because they hold the stress inside the gut. So this helps with gut and anxiety. It also has been shown to help improve cognition, which, I mean, I don't know, I think everybody needs these days. And topical, it has been shown to help relieve fever blisters. So, and I'm not the only one that says this. Apparently, Europe and Germany agree. And so the European Committee has approved lemon balm for tenseness, restlessness, irritability, and symptomatic treatment of digestive disorders, such as minor spasms, and externally for herpes. And the German Commission have approved it for nervous sleeping disorders and functional GI complaints. So they agree with me. Okay. I love holy basil. I just love it. So this also very mild taste, boosts immunity, but it has been shown to help reduce stress and anxiety, all caffeine free, and has anti-inflammatory properties. And it's just a very grounding herb. It helps open up the heart chakra. It helps you connect to the world around you. It's really good if you're that isolated person I was talking about on the phone on their Facebook. It's holy basil might be the right one for you. Also used by mystics and yogis to reach enlightenment. So, I mean, if that's what you're trying to attain, then that's an added benefit as well. It's a very, very grounding herb, and I love holy basil to help manage stress. Also good for preventing upper respiratory infections during the winter season. And then, of course, there's chamomile, which Peter Rabbit tried to tell us when he went over to McGregor's garden and came back and his mom gave him chamomile, that it helps with anxiety and stress. But in case you need a little more proof than Peter Rabbit, the University of Pennsylvania also did a study showing that it has been shown to help with anxiety and even mild forms of depression. So I think there's about 1 million cups of chamomile are consumed a day. So it definitely has been a part of our lineage and culture. So I love chamomile for anxiety and stress, safe in the elderly, safe in young people. And the German Commission also agrees. And they also have approved it for GI, IBS, diarrhea, and heartburn, as well as some anxiety. So a little bit more about chamomile. Can help with PMS too. I think I'm running behind for once or so. These are some herbal teas that if you want to just buy it, these are great brands, great brands for stress. There's the lemon balm, there's the chamomile, there's the stress ease with the stress relief with lavender, and then the stress ease by traditional medicinals, which I love as well. And then the last quote I'm going to leave you is from Dr. Lodog's classes, and it's about ritual, and it says, it's by Joseph Campbell, and it says, you must have a room or a certain hour or so a day where you don't know what was in the newspaper that morning. You don't know who your friends are. You don't know what you owe anybody, and you don't know what anybody owes you. This is a place where you can simply experience and bring forth what you are and what you might be. This is a place of creative incubation. At first, you may find that nothing happens there, but if you have a sacred place and use it, something eventually will happen. So also tend to your soul, create a safe space for yourself to kind of be yourself, and that also helps with stress. So I'm going to hand it over to Chef Jess. Thank you so much.
And if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we will get those in. So I have a question to ask you already. I love how I always say, yeah, we can't, and I can't. Okay, so there's B12 that you can take, and then there's the B complex. Which one would you suggest if you're not a vegetarian?
So if you're under high amounts of stress, I think the B complex is good. I would just make sure that it's the methylated form.
Okay.
So methylfolate, cobalamin, the activated form of the B vitamins.
Okay.
If you are more looking for, if you're B12 deficient or your MMA is high, which means you're B12 deficient and you're vegan, then I would look at just isolated B12.
B12. Okay. Yeah. Cause I told somebody that I was taking, and I must have said just B12. And she's like, you're not a vegetarian. Why would you? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I realized, no, I was taking a B complex. And so I was like, oh, what's the difference between the two? Oh, right. So we are going to start off today by making just some salmon. So I have some regular, just salmon. Nothing special. It's not sockeye, but obviously if you want sockeye, it's going to be leaner and it's going to be a little bit, it's just going to be leaner for you to use. I've got some spices. So I've got some garlic powder and some smoked paprika, some salt and pepper, and I'm going to use this as a rub. So I'm going to mix this all together and then we're going to put it on the salmon and then we're going to cook our salmon in the oven. So the whole idea is that, I mean, you can cook anything that you cook on the stove in the oven at a high temperature. So I have the oven at 400 degrees. And that's what I'm going to keep it at to kind of sear off the salmon. And I'm going to purposely keep the skin on the salmon as well. So I'm going to take a lemon though, and I'm going to create a bed. So I'm only going to use a little bit because I'm going to use some lemon zest in a little bit. Or actually, I might just ask for another lemon. Oh no, I think we're good. So I'm going to create a bed of lemon for the salmon to sit on. So the question is if you eat the skin or not. The skin obviously has a lot of good fat in it, but some people don't like to eat it. And so you don't have to. It creates a barrier. It's a great barrier to keep your fish nice and moist. And so I want to talk about this last piece though. So I purposely chose a piece of salmon that had the tail end. If you notice, the tail end is always going to be thinner than the fillets that are in the middle. So if we're cooking them at the same time, what you can do just so that it comes out at the same time is you can fold it over. And when you do that, what happens is it becomes a thicker piece and it'll cook them out about the same amount of time. So you can do that. But if you wanted the skin, then you can add that on after. Or you can just do a thin slice and then pull it a little bit earlier. It'll be about 10 minutes versus the other pieces that are thicker. That'll be about 12 to 15 minutes. And that's it. So I'm just going to stick this in the oven. I'm not going to even add any oil on. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could. It'll just kind of caramelize it a little bit more, but I don't see a need for that right now. So we're going to take that and put that in the oven. If you're not an ocean fish eater, steelhead trout is a good substitute for those who are just avoiding any fish from the ocean. And we can talk about fish all day long, as you know. It's the wild, wild west. And so if you ask me, oh, do I buy wild or do I buy farmed, I would just say switch it up. There's problems with the ocean and there's problems with farming. So both have its positives and both have its negatives. I will say though, by far, Atlantic anything is going to be better than Pacific anything, mainly because Atlantic waters are a lot cooler. And because they are cooler, it just makes the fish a little bit healthier. The Pacific Ocean is large, and so it's hard sometimes. All right. So now we're going to make a dill sauce to go with it. So I've just got some Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt, make sure, is the thick stuff. It's not the thin stuff. If you're in Southern California, I like giving, because food is expensive now. So I'm going to give you the brand. I don't make any money off brands or anything like that, but I find it funny because my mom's visiting me from overseas and she was looking at yogurt brands and she bought the Clover one, which is the organic Clover, which is pretty expensive, but it was so runny too because it wasn't Greek yogurt. We have a large Persian community around us. They don't label it Greek yogurt. So the one brand that I have found consistently throughout all grocery stores around Southern California that acts exactly like Greek yogurt but is not labeled as Greek yogurt is Mountain High. Mountain High is a brand, and their yogurt tends to be a little bit cheaper too, but it always is thick like this. Now I'll take it a step further and tell you, if you have an oven with a light or an Instant Pot, yogurt can be made in 24 hours. And so yogurt is probably one of the easiest things to make, just like ricotta cheeses. And as things get more pricey, you're going to want these substitutes. Or how do I get rid of, like if you have a gallon of milk and it's about to expire or it's getting sour, make yogurt out of it, make a cheese out of it, as opposed to throwing it away. All right, so for this garlic sauce, or for the yogurt sauce, I'm going to add garlic. So I'm going to take my garlic clove and I'm going to press down and then peel. And I'm going to use a garlic press. Now, I am a fan of a garlic press, but please realize that the more you mince your garlic or the more you chop it, the more it's going to get more potent. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be strong if I add a whole clove through a garlic press versus slicing it. So this will make it actually spicy because it's raw and pressed completely. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper and some capers. Capers are just great because they brighten food pretty well. So they give a nice bright flavor. And then I've got some dill. So dill, it grows very easily. So if you want to try growing anything, you can try growing some dill too. I find it's just nice to have with salmon. It's something that we just tend to think of when we have salmon to have dill. I'm also a fan of it with tuna. So really, you can add it into a lot of stuff. So a lot of it's like tarragon. If you've ever seen tarragon, they sell them in very large bunches though, and sometimes you don't use all of it. So what I suggest is you can take tarragon or dill and put it into vinegar, and then you can make a dill vinegar or a tarragon vinegar. And because the vinegar will preserve it for you, it has to be completely submerged, but that's how you can get rid of or not feel like you're wasting as much, because dill and tarragon come in quite large bunches. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to add some lemon and some lemon zest too.
Smells so good.
I love dill. I know. You know what? There's a really good recipe. I make it all the time. I don't have it with me right now, but the Vietnamese actually make a dill fish, and they they don't deep fry it, but they use like a cast iron pan with the fish, mix it with curry powder, and it comes out sizzling with fresh dill on top of it. It's really good. So look it up. Dill, a Vietnamese dill fish. It's really good.
Good.
Lemon zest. Yeah, I was listening to Sanaz talk about stress. Okay, so what's the, because we can't seem to escape this world without it, right? So my question is, what about sleep? Like for sleep, how, I feel like nowadays we're all given these tools, whether I wear an Oura Ring or Whoop, and it tells you your quality of sleep. I feel like I've been sleeping okay, but then it'll tell me that, oh, I didn't get enough deep sleep. And I'm worried now that I'm not getting enough.
You're stressing.
Yes.
About
And
the
so,
Oura Ring.
yes.
Okay,
And so
yeah.
that's what I think is hilarious, that we wear these wearables that end up stressing us out more. And so I wonder how accurate it is. But for sleep, is there anything other than, yes, don't eat before you go to sleep, get off the phone,
Well,
go smoke the 15 cigarettes instead, because that seems to do better. Yeah.
better. I think first of all, always listen to your body versus like, other things. So if you feel like you slept well, I would definitely like trust
Just
that
trust.
more. That's just feels
Yeah.
better on my heart.
Yeah.
And I think sleep, it's really important about managing the stress to be able to sleep, because usually a lot of people can't sleep because they're like thinking or worried or ruminating, or it's like they can't shut off their mind.
Yeah.
I love herbs for that, like the Wired and Tired. I love ashwagandha. It's actually been shown to help the quality of sleep. So it just depends what's underlying your sleep insomnia. What's the underlying cause of your insomnia?
So then the back to the ashwagandha then.
Yes.
What's the difference between that and now I'm reading this KSM 66? What what is that?
KSM-66 is a strain that they studied of the ashwagandha.
Okay.
So it's like they did it in research and they found that it was effective. So usually people like to do that one because has the studies and it's been in clinical trials.
Got it. Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean that maybe the others aren't
That's
working
good.
either, but that's what it is. That's why it's a little bit more expensive too sometimes.
Yeah. And then, there's the whole discussion then too of brands, but that's a whole different lecture that we'll do another day. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So so that's for the salmon right now. Made the sauce, salmon's in the oven, and then we're going to pull it out in about 10 minutes. I'm going to show you how to make an energy bite. So energy bites are probably one of the easiest things to do, in the sense that you have a lot of these things at home. Now, what you do need is a food processor, which I understand some people might not have. And that becomes a little bit harder. You can do this by hand. It just takes a lot of work. And so if you want to, you can try to do it by hand. We're going to add a little bit of coconut in this one. And I'm going to toast it on the stove just so that I can show you how to do it. What I want you to realize, though, is that I can toast this in the microwave, 30-second intervals. And if you do it in 30-second intervals, it'll start getting brown or toasted on the bottom. And you just take a spoon and then you can stir it, and then it'll all toast up. The reason why you want to use things like coconut in a dessert is it helps reduce the need for extra sugar. It's the same as cinnamon. So they're all things that we just tend to naturally think are sweet. And so they make us think that we're eating something sweet then. So,
and Chef Jess, cinnamon also helps bring down your blood sugar.
Yes.
So isn't that great?
Is there anything good about coconut? I'm sure.
It's a saturated fat, so
Uh,
it's good.
but it's
Yeah.
a yeah, and it's a good fat, right?
It's a good fat.
It's a good fat, yeah. Tallow? No, I'm just kidding. We won't go down that low. Yeah.
That's a different
Okay, yeah. All right. So now let's take what we're going to use as our base. We're going to roll it in coconut. That's why. But I'm keeping an eye on it. Don't worry. I'm going to keep going back and forth. Sorry. Am I going back and forth too much? Yes. It's
Never.
flicking. There we go. Okay. So oats, super easy. Not, I mean, you don't, yeah, you can buy any kind of oats that you want. If you want them organic, you can buy them organic. I feel like we have an abundance of oats right now just because there's the oat milk craze. Oat milk, just make your own. I feel like a lot of the brands out there that do have oat milk have a lot of emulsifiers in them to make them thick. And we're trying to make oat milk like regular milk when it's never going to get there. It's just like rice milk. All these, none of them will get there. And the closer it is to real milk, the more you know they're adding something in there to make it that way. Yeah. And so just if you don't want to drink milk, drink oat milk, but don't think of it as a substitute naturally as a 1-to-1. So I've got some dates. I soaked them just to make them a little bit softer, but you don't need to. But what I do want you to do is, I know that you're buying them de-seeded or pre-seeded, whatever the seeds, there sometimes are just chunks inside. And so you should go in and just look at your dates to make sure that there aren't any seeds or pits. It's not for you, actually. It's for your machine and the fact that you're just going to ruin what you just made, because you're going to break a blade, or you're going to go in there and have to throw everything away, because just like eggshells, one seed will taste like a million seeds. All right.
Chef Jess,
Yeah.
there's a question about microwaves. And
Oh.
what are your thoughts on using a microwave and if it's bad?
I love this discussion, because if you talk to an RD, like a registered dietitian, a traditionally trained registered dietitian will tell you that a microwave is probably the easiest and best way to cook because of how quick it is. And so this is the science. I'm not going to tell you one or the other because I don't know. But but this is really interesting. So if you just think about this, the amount, say I needed to cook a bowl of spinach. I've got one option. I can boil it, right, in a pot of water, where then all of those nutrients are leaching into the water and it's taking a longer time. I can do the exact same cook of spinach inside a microwave in 30 seconds with no water. So all the nutrients are kept inside, and it's a shorter cooking time. So it's the idea that you're cooking in a shorter amount of time. And so you're preserving more of the nutrients when you use a microwave. And so that's the fight. Obviously, I would never use plastic. Like, don't heat it up in plastic. Even silicone, sometimes I'm kind of weary of these days. It's just try to use glass, reheat it in glass, and it is what it is. There are people who don't have anything other than a microwave to cook from. And so I think it's important that we understand that there's a need for a microwave, because sometimes that is all that people have to cook with, and you can. I've actually done a cooking challenge where I taught people how to steam fish in one class, right? And then they had a competition the next day where they had to make a dish inside of a microwave, and they were very limited on equipment. They had a knife and a microwave. That was it. A knife, a cutting board, and a microwave. And they made the dish that we had spent hours making inside the microwave. So it's just playing with what you have, I think, is the main idea. But I understand there is a concern and there is a fear that people have with microwaves. I think it's cool how they work. They're working off water. So what the way that a microwave works is it's attracted to the water in whatever is in the food, and that's where it's reheating it. So if you have something and there's only water on one side, you'll notice only that side gets heated up, because that's where the microwave wants to go to heat the food. So it's actually a cool tool that we have. All right.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, went on a microwave spiel. All right. So chia seeds, we're making chia a fiber bomb. Yes. This whole thing is a fiber bomb. So this is a lot more fiber than most people would get. It's gotten already kind of gooey, so I'm going to pour it in. You could probably wait a little bit longer. We've got some cinnamon and salt. Just want to add a little bit of salt because there are other sweet items in here. So we're going to add some maple syrup and vanilla. And then this is one of those times when I can say, go buy the raw cacao powder, and you aren't going to heat it up. So you're going to get all the benefits from the cacao. If I were to use that to make a brownie out of it, you'd be losing all the healthy benefits of it. And then a nut butter. So I know the recipe says almond butter. I only had peanut butter, but just any kind of nut butter that you have running or have around is good. And I'm going to let that go. All right. And then I'm going to add the chocolate chips too. And then Rob, can you grab me the completed ones? All right. So you'll notice it looks loose. Thank you. But we made some ahead of time. And you just go in. And if you've got like an ice cream scoop, you can portion them out the same way, or you can use a measuring spoon and go in and just make them all the same size. They actually firm up pretty well. I guess I didn't need to make them ahead of time. We were worried. And so we will show you, though, with these, what you can do then is you can just come over to your coconut. And if you're a fan of toasted coconut, toast it ahead of time and freeze it. You can do a whole big batch of toasting, and then it's ready to go for you whenever you want. It tastes good because when you toast things, it draws out the sugar. So you're drawing out the sugar, so you're enhancing the flavor of the sugar. And that's why toasted coconut tastes so much better than regular. But then you can go in and just roll them around in here.
And I think that's brilliant, Chef Jess. This would be a great way for us to get closer to our 25, 30 grams of fiber we need a day.
Exactly. Yep.
It looks absolutely delicious.
And kids actually like it. I feel like kids, if you can sneak some chocolate into anything, they don't know if it's raw cacao or cocoa or sugar at that point. And so it's a good way, I find. All right. And you can even coat them in more chocolate if you really want. You can even do nuts. But these freeze well. So you can freeze them and then have them super cold then. And then you've got your little breakfast snack. Think of all the different ways you can do this. Okay, I've got a question though. For something like this, okay, no, I got another. This is a good question. It's only questions.
Chef Jess.
Okay, sorry.
Q&A,
Sorry. Okay. High fiber. Much fiber, okay?
Yes.
Would you, as a nighttime snack, this would not be a good idea, right? Or...
I think it just depends what your body's used to. And if you're going to do it nighttime, then slowly add. People have a lot more fiber, but there's people that go out and in one day, all of a sudden increase their fiber from 5 grams to 30 grams, and they have problems.
Yes.
So if you want to do it at night, I would start low and go slow, and your body does adjust and adapt. So I'm never going to turn down fiber.
Yeah. That's why, because I always wonder, it's like, you hear about, don't eat at night or whatever. But then I'm also concerned that if you're not somebody who has a lot of fiber in your diet, your tummy might fight you.
It does.
It definitely will fight you. Okay. Let me check on the salmon really quick, and it's looking good. And then let me pull that out and plate it. And then we're going to talk about some tea really quick.
Oh, yay.
This is all right. So we've got perfect salmon. And I just want to show something because I think I get this question a lot about salmon, especially when you cook it in the oven. What's that white stuff that's coming out? Like a lot of people when they're cooking, sometimes when you're cooking it on the stove too, what's that white stuff? The white stuff is just protein. It's protein from the fish. Why it comes out, though, is a really interesting thing. It's because of the heat. If you were to do this incredibly slow, you wouldn't get all this kind of protein pushing out like that. But because we're cooking it at a high temperature, it tends to force it out. And if you look at where it's coming from, it's the area right between the skin and where the meat meats. And so there's nothing wrong with it. Some people just ask what it is. And so I always like telling people it's just a little bit of extra. It's just protein. It's just the protein from the fish. Okay. So I have some here. You can serve this with anything you want. I've got a piece of salmon, and then we're just going to dollop the sauce right on top. I'll use this. And that's it.
So simple. Too.
It is. And so if you wanted to serve this with a salad, obviously that would be a good idea too. You could even throw some baby spinach into the quinoa or whatever grain you're making. Or you can even throw veggies on the side of this tray while you're roasting. So you've got things ready to go. I'm just going to plate this up too. So if you've ever been to our institute, we have a beautiful garden outside. And a few years ago, or last year, I think it was, we started growing a lot more herbs. Right now we have borage and comfrey.
Ooh.
The comfrey just won't die. The comfrey will not. It is the weirdest one of all because it's like literally just like coming out. It's like, and they look like rabbit ears. Like it's big leaves. So we have a lot. And then we grew two things. One was chamomile and feverfew. Feverfew took over the chamomile.
Oh, no.
It did, yes. And so I just want to make sure, though. And so, because I'm just going to show you how to make tea. It is feverfew, right? This one? Or is it chamomile? I always need to ask. It is, right? It doesn't taste as good, right? No, yeah. It's for migraines, though. But I just wanted to show you how you could. And I have lavender at home that I was going to bring, and I forgot to bring it. You can buy, obviously, chamomile and lavender. But do you want to show how you can make tea?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, how do you press the? I know, but how do you press the? Do you just take the?
I do. I just take the top parts.
And do you press them?
It helps kind of activate and give it more flavor. So if you
Like
do
press it
yeah,
a little bit, right? Yeah.
It activates it a little bit more.
And then I have mint here, but obviously use whatever you have. Your recipe calls for lavender and I think chamomile. But I just wanted you to know that when you do make this, we literally just go in and just press and just kind of break it up with our hands. But I want to show you how much we use so that you realize that it's okay for your mint plant to go crazy.
Yes.
So this is a lot of times people will ask, like, how do you make tea? And you can make tea from fresh leaves, right? Yes. Is there a benefit is there a benefit versus dry or?
I don't think so. No, I think it's just if you dry, it doesn't have as much water in it, versus if it's fresh, it has some of the natural water in it.
Okay. That's it. I just did something though. And if you don't know already, if you ever have plants that you want to live for a long time, whether it be your basil plant, I learned this a few years ago. That's why, or your mint, if you start seeing pretty flowers on them, they need to go because that will be the end of the plant. And so, yes, if your plants are growing flowers, I know they're pretty, but the plant is dying then. It's taken all that effort to grow that little pretty flower. And so it's a cool cycle, but I just need you to realize that that's what's going on. So take them off, pick them off or cut them off. It's that time of year right now where everyone is growing stuff. Yes. My tomatoes are going. My cucumbers, I had cucumbers that went really well this year. So start growing some stuff. Okay. So you can even fill this up. You can fill it up all the way to the top. And chamomile you can buy in store. I just tell you these stores just because it's where I go. Mm-hmm. But I like going to Armstrong. I find that their plants for some reason have survived every little thing I've tried to do to them. And so the other big box stores, the big box stores are a little bit harder. And so I just have hot water, not boiling, that I'm just going to pour over the top. And I'm just because I didn't add a lot of herbs. I added just some. I'm going to go in there now. Let that sit for a little bit and then press. So I'm just going to let that hot water do its work. And that's it, right?
Beautiful. I love it. Yes.
Cool.
And you can add honey if you want to it.
Yes.
If you like the honey, you can add a
Yes.
little honey to it.
Raw honey. Yeah.
Yeah, raw honey. Local
I feel
honey.
like, I feel like all honey is raw now. Yeah. I was like,
It's cheap.
yeah, it is. I feel like we are trendy people. And when one thing becomes trendy, they all become trendy. So it's pretty interesting how that happened. So I think that's all we have to share today. Please let us know if you have any other questions.
We don't, I don't think. I answered most of them as we went. Oh, you want to talk about Women's Wellness Day coming up, Chef?
Yes. And so we have Women's Wellness Day coming up. And Camber, do you happen to have a link that you could share with everyone?
Great.
Yeah. We've got some great speakers coming up. I will be presenting too. We're going to be doing some cool culinary demos.
Yay.
We're going to be talking a lot. It's a 2-day event now, and so it's become quite the extravagant event. We would love to see you there.
Absolutely.
And it will be on May 8th and May 9th. And so it's a 2-day event in Irvine. Hold on, I'm just trying to, there it is.
Camber just put it up.
And she'll put it, Camber will definitely put it up in the follow-up email for this event. But if you ever have wanted to join us, this will be the start of some really, really nice, it's a upgraded Women's Wellness Day for sure. It's 2 days now. We've got a lot of cool people. Dr. Low Dog will be speaking as well. So if you want more herbal information, she will be here to share.
Look what I just did. I just put it on the screen.
Oh, look at you.
Yes, thank you.
Yay. So please join us. Let us know if you have any questions. If not, thank you everyone for being here.
Thank
See
you.
you later.
Something. Take care. Bye.